Welcome to our live stream of high school sports. Please note that this broadcast is produced by an independent team of sports enthusiasts, and the views, opinions, and commentary expressed are solely those of the commentators and not representative of the schools, teams, or athletes featured. While we strive for accuracy, occasional errors or misstatements may occur. This stream is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Thank you for joining us and enjoy the show.
Yeah, come on, let's go. Hey, you ain't never seen nothing like this. Ain't no telling how it might get. It's the hypest right here. High school sports at its finest. So many highlights, you have to rewind it. Hey, Stream City, let me just remind ya. The heart of a lion, a team full of fighters. So many stars on the field, it'll blind ya. They're giving everything they got till the time's up. Yeah, legends in the making. History is made. We just getting started. You ain't seen a thing. YSN, gotta know the name. They gon' bring the flames. They gon' do their thing. Take it to another level. Don't hold back. High school, got a passion and we show that. Got the drive and you know they got the heart. Number one spot for your high school sports. Let's go for the win.
Hey. Oh man, that theme song fires me up, and it's been a minute since we heard it because we haven't been here since Thursday, and it is our final week of consistent YSN Live until fall sports comes around. Don't miss a minute of this week because we're doing some special things. We have, of course, our state recap on Wednesday. Look forward to that for our season finale with Rick Seipert running Wednesday. We're going to recap state here in this show with state softball wrapping up last weekend. Obviously, we have one more baseball team left that we have to gas up and talk about since they played since we last left on Thursday. So got a lot to do today, but we're going to start with something that has been blowing my mind. I just found it out this morning. It's totally random, and I'm sorry that everyone here has to kind of deal with it, but I got to share it with someone, and you guys are the only one that are in my trajectory, all right? So this is just – I never knew this. It's just mind-blowing. I got to get it. Got to get off my chest.
I can't wait to see where this goes.
Got to get off my chest. Okay. Take any double-digit number from 10 to 99, any double-digit number at all. You add up the two numbers – all right, subtract the sum of those two numbers from the original number. You will always get a number that adds up to 9, no matter what.
All right, so say that again.
Wait,
so
what?
Any double-digit number, so 10 to 99.
Okay.
Right.
You add up the sum of those two numbers.
Okay.
So like 72, you add them up, it's 9. Subtract that from the original number. You will always get a number that the two numbers add up to 9, no matter what.
That's funny.
Yeah, try it.
That's funny.
I was sitting here all morning going, well, what about this number? Yeah, that works. What about this number? There's no way this number works. That works.
That's funny. I did 33.
33, right? So 33 minus 6 is 27.
Yep.
27 is 2 plus 7 is 9.
Yeah.
There you go. Mm-hmm. See, I'm not a numbers guy, so that small little math just blew my mind completely. There were people that were like calculus majors in college going, "You idiot!" There's some, but like for me, double-digit numbers all adding up to 9 blew my mind a little bit. Blew my mind. Sean's like, "Shut up, you moron! Just get on with the show." All right, we'll go. But now that we've gotten that ADHD kind of thing out of my cranium, we'll go on to the recap of what we had going on since last Thursday. And for that, we go to the YSN scoreboard on ysnlive.com/scores, which is proudly presented by Burnett Pool Spas and Hot Tubs. And if you have not been there before, you have to scroll down to the bottom where you'll see the dates. And once you do that, you click the date desired. It is backloaded for a week, so you'll be able to go in and see everything since I think June 3rd is still there. So let's see, Thursday was the 5th. And we will look at Thursday's scoreboard as we had softball state semifinals. Oh, I picked Friday. That's not right. Thursday is the 4th. I'm dumb. Hold on. Where's the 4th? 3rd, 2nd, 1st, 7th, 6th, 5th. Oh, there it is. 4th. My vision is terrible. Okay, June 4th, reset. Because we're starting with baseball. We want to get this out. So, baseball regional finals on Thursday. We had 3 teams with the chance to punch their ticket to state. We will start with Archbishop Hoban, who was the 1 seed in their district before going to regionals, got a regional semifinal win, and was matched up with Cuyahoga Valley Christian Academy for more recognizable as CVCA. And it was a walk-off for the Royals, 3-2 to upset Hoban out of the regional finals. This was a game where, Hoban, we know, has depth on the mound. We knew it was going to be another pitcher's duel. But CVCA just did enough, kept themselves in the game. And because of, if you don't know, in the tournament time, it's when you get to regionals, home team is based on what line of the bracket you fall on. So it's not based on seeding like it is in districts. When you get to regionals, it's like if you're the top line of the bracket, you're automatically the home team. So because they were on the top line of the bracket, CVCA got the advantage of being the home team when you go. I said this during one of the broadcasts this weekend. Advantage away team early in the game, advantage home team late in the game, and it got close late. And CVCA had the advantage of batting in the bottom of the 7th and was able to walk it off 3-2 to upset Hoban and get themselves into the state semifinals. So the Knights had a great season. Greg, you got to cover them a couple of times with the kid.
Yeah.
We had them on the broadcast plenty of times. What a great team, and this is single elimination baseball. Sometimes it's not your day.
Yeah, I mean, I got to see him earlier this year against Louisville, and Manny Camacho was pitching, who's one of their top pitchers, and man, what a treat! Like the guy, left-handed, throws hard, has a mixture of stuff. A giant on the mound. I think he's got to be like 6'5", 6'6", something in there. He's a beast, and he was throwing hard, and he kept the Leopards off the scoreboard. And I was like, there were scouts in the stands and everything like that. I was like, this kid's got a future. But they got kids throughout the lineup. 1 through 9, they can hit the ball and play in different roles. So definitely a very talented team. Was surprised to see them kind of go out as early as they did. I thought they had the stuff to make a run, just like some of the teams in our area. But that's how it works. I think with softball, you get an ace on the mound every single game. No matter if you play 3 days in a row, 2 days in a row, whatever it is. Baseball, I think, is a special sport in the way that you have to have depth on the mound. And so the more pitchers you have, the better your chances are. And, in a situation like that where it comes down to the end of the game, sometimes it's just, it's one team's day. And that seemed to be the case for that game.
And Zellers for Hoban got the start in this game. He went 4 innings, only gave up 2 hits, 1 run, struck out 6, walked 4 though, and because of that, 4 walks and strikeouts can take a toll on your pitch count as well.
Yeah,
he used 85 pitches in 4 innings, and I think the coaching staff kind of saw a little bit of, okay, you know what, like 85 might be a little bit of a pushing it, so they brought in some of their other pitching staff. They didn't pitch bad and all either. They each pitcher, all 3 pitchers, gave up 1 earned run in the game. The difference, I think, was the other 2 pitchers couldn't get the strikeouts that Zeller was able to get. Zeller got 6. The other 2 got none. So CVCA was able to put the ball in play against the bullpen. And we've talked about it a lot. High school baseball and softball, if you can put the ball in play more than not, you're putting pressure on the defense, especially big tournament time. You don't know what kind of mistakes will be made or what kind of things can happen. CVCA was able to put the ball in play against Hoban's bullpen, and then eventually get the walk-off single in the bottom of the 7th.
You got to call that game, Sean, didn't you?
Yes, yeah. I was there for the semis and the finals that were all at Hudson during that 2-day span. So I got a couple games covering CVCA, got a couple games covering Hoban, got to see him square off on Thursday. And it was one of those games where going into it, you knew, like you said, it was going to be a pitcher's duel, 2 very good pitching staffs. I think in the couple games that I've called CVCA, even though they're not one of our schools, I've got to call a couple of their games in tournament play. they are very deep on the mound. So they had, I believe, their ace on the mound for this game. And Hoban early on, even though they put up 10 runs in the semifinal game and had a run rule against St. Vincent St. Mary the night before, their offense struggled to get to a start. And then all of a sudden in the fifth inning, they played small ball. They started putting the ball in play, and CVCA started making some errors in the field. Hoban, they had 2 RBI singles in the fifth inning to take the lead. Both of those hits were in the field. So they were just putting the ball in play, and things were just falling their way at that time, able to take the lead, but then CVCA bounced right back, were able to take advantage of it. And that was the biggest thing. I feel like it just came down to, like you said before, who got the advantage of playing at home. CVCA got to bat last, and that's how they were able to pull away with the win.
Yeah.
And this is how the bottom of the seventh started. And this is just typical how you win baseball games with a tie game. A single, sacrifice, bunt him over to second. Hoban intentionally walked the next batter to keep the force out in play, make it easier on your infield, and then a single knocked in the game-winning run. So get him on, get him over, get him in. That's the cliche in baseball, and CVCA executed that perfectly. Sacrifice bunting is something that we saw Sean during the softball state tournament team struggle with. Baseball, softball, I don't care. You have to be able to bunt at this level, especially in high school, to get runners over and manufacture runs the deeper you go into the tournament.
Yeah, I feel like what we saw, especially once it got to state and we got to see those games in Akron this weekend, the teams that were normally reliant on the bunt, it just all of a sudden seemed like, I don't know if it was the pressure that was on or if it was just the nerves, but it seemed like nobody, no matter whether it was our teams or the teams they were facing, nobody seemed to be able to put down bunts. Things that were worked on and things that a lot of players had perfected during the entire regular season. All of a sudden, it just seemed like, you had to figure out other ways aside from bunting to try and get on, because that was the one tool in your bag that was normally reliable, and nobody seemed to get around it, because especially once you get to the state level in softball, you have those pitchers that are able to work around the bunts and force some mistakes.
Yeah.
We move on to the next baseball game that happened on Thursday, regional final, and it was Poland against Waynedale. Waynedale, if you're new to baseball this year, this is kind of the first year kind of doing local baseball. Waynedale's a buzzsaw in baseball.
Yeah.
They are an absolute juggernaut. That's why we were so hyped up when Mooney beat them earlier this season, the regular season. We were like, that's a huge win, because Waynedale knows how to win tournament games. They know how to win state championships. They are a monster in baseball. Poland played them so tough. It was 5-1 the final score, but that score is a little deceiving, because it was 1-0 Waynedale for a long time, all the way until the sixth inning. It was 1-0. Waynedale scored 3 in the top of the fifth, and that's when Hoban scored their 1 run to try to answer. They were down 4-1 going into the top of the seventh. Waynedale added 1 more insurance run and took it over 5-1. Clean game on both sides. There's 1 error for Poland, no errors for Waynedale. Poland was able to just get 4 hits on the day, and Waynedale was able to get 8. But good pitching from Poland, keeping this Waynedale order for the first 5 innings completely in check, and keeping their team in the game, giving them a chance to win. But Waynedale's pitching just too good.
It's funny you use the term buzzsaw, Anthony, because I left Massillon on Thursday, and I texted DJ as I was walking to my car, and I said that team is a buzzsaw. Like, I don't know if the guy that pitched for Waynedale was their ace, Braden Steiner. I don't know if he was their ace. I couldn't find too many stats going into the game or anything, but he was locked in all day long. I mean, there was I think it was the bottom of the fifth, maybe top of the fifth, or bottom of the fifth, and I think he threw 10 pitches in an inning, or 12 pitches, or 11 pitches maybe. And I looked at the guys in the press box, because I didn't count pitches throughout the inning, but he had 3 strikeouts. He struck out the side in the 5th inning. He moved quick. And I looked at the guy next to me. I was like, was that an immaculate inning? Like, it was minimum pitches. It was crazy. But Steiner, the Waynedale pitcher, led off the game with a triple down the right field line. He moved to third, or he was sacrifice bunted in. That's how Waynedale took the lead. And then Owen McKenzie on the mound for Poland kind of settled in from there. I think he retired the next 6-7 batters. He only had a couple walks, maybe 1 or 2. but things kind of started to unravel there in the fifth inning. And, Poland had beat Lakeview the night before 8-1, and they scored, I think, 7 or 8 unanswered runs in the final 3 innings. So you couldn't really count them out. And, after Waynedale kind of extended their lead there in the 6th inning, Poland responded. I mean, they got guys on base. Carmine Tucolo hustled out an infield single, ended up scoring on a Zach Moranis RBI single, and it looked like they were going to kind of start making a charge, and then Steiner just kind of shut the door. And from there, it was all Waynedale. I mean, that Waynedale team is good. They hit 1 through 9. From what I understand, they have great pitching, back to or front to back. I think it starts with Steiner. But yeah, that's a tough team. And when I was going into it, I was trying to do as much research as I could because I couldn't really find much on Waynedale outside of, they're a buzzsaw, they're defending state champions. I had seen that they had lost to Cardinal Mooney earlier in the year, and I think that shows the strength of the Cardinals this year. But yeah, just a great team, but also a great season for Poland. I mean, they showed up, they battled as much as they could. Zach Moranis, I'll take this away right now. I mean, one of the good young players in the area. He made a play at the plate on a throw from center field to cut down a runner at the plate. Obviously came up with the RBI single. I think he was hitting just under 500 this year, which is a crazy stat at the high school level. So I think it shows what Poland still has a tank for next year.
Yeah, I mean, Waynedale's pitching. I mean, Jordan Miller, their senior, pitched in the game before. There was a 2-0 win in the regional semifinals.
Yep.
And then, of course, Steiner's committed to Malone, so we know he is good.
Yeah.
And he pitched a gym against Poland. So you got to have that kind of pitching to win state.
Yeah,
and
100%.
They brought them both back. So, Waynedale just knows how to win. And Poland, unfortunately, falls 5-1 to the Bears. But it's not all doom and gloom in baseball, because our third and final team playing in the regional finals was Cardinal Mooney, and they got the very thrilling win over Canton Central Catholic, 5-4. The final score. The Cardinals are going to state. Guys, Mooney was the team that we've been talking about all year as one of the ones that we thought had the best chance to go to the state semifinals. Wasn't easy, of course. That game could have gone either way with a 5-4 finish. But you talk about this Mooney team, you see it. I mean, expectations reached. I mean, I think it's fine. It's perfect to say, like, there was a reason we talked about them all season. I know people got kind of, oh, you're Mooney again. Oh, you're Mooney again. You're the Cardinal Mooney Network, or something we heard in the comments one time. Well, they're the only baseball team going to state for a reason. They're pretty dang good at the ball and stick sport. So, let's talk about Mooney and what it's going to take. They go to the state semifinals on Saturday at 10 a.m. at 717 Credit Union Field in Akron, not the one in Niles, but the one that they have the same name in Akron, formerly known as Canal Park. So what's it going to take for Mooney to come on and bash through and get a trip to the state championship game?
I mean, when you talk about Cardinal Mooney, it starts with 2 things. I mean, it's their lineup is 1 through 9. There's no weak spots. They have guys all over the lineup: Caden Reese, Johnny Brenner, Ben Otis, Andrew Bushy at the top. They got guys 1 through 9 that can hit the ball. And then they got guys on the bench that can come off the bench and hit the ball. But then, I mean, they have 4 or 5 pitchers at the top of their rotation that can find the strike zone, pitch to contact, trust on their defense. And that's been the story all year long. I mean, it's Ben Otis, it's Ford Stacy, it's Bushy, it's Pettis, it's guys all over the place that can find the strike zone. And that's where it starts with Mooney, and that's what they've shown all year long. And if you can continue that in the state semifinals and the state finals, I mean, offense talks, but when you get into a pitching duel, and you have the offense that can kind of show up and provide that run support, that's what's going to be huge for the Cardinals here in the next 2 games.
The biggest inning for Mooney in the game against Kansas Catholic was the 4th, where they had 3 triples in the inning, which is something rarely I've ever seen. I don't think I've ever seen 3 triples in one inning, and 2 of them were back-to-back triples. Pretty impressive to kind of – it was a pitcher's duel up until that point. It was 2-1. Kansas Catholic had the lead. They opened the inning with a triple, and then 1 batter later, back-to-back triples. So, Greg, you pulled the highlight of that inning. What do you think that did momentum-wise? I mean, you got to see the reaction from the players on the video. back 3 triples in one inning is pretty special.
I mean, it's huge. I mean, the saying that you hear around baseball, and I've been covering baseball since 2018, is that hitting is contagious, and that's at all levels, whether it's college, whether it's high school, whether it's professional. Hitting is contagious, and when you see the ball start to find the field, start to find the grass, the dirt, everything like that, it's the next guy that's stepping in the box wants to pick up the guy before him. And you saw that in that inning. I think it was I can't remember who started off the inning, but there's a leadoff triple that led to a run. There was the back-to-back triples that led to 2 more runs. And all of a sudden Mooney was, out in front. And they were leading the game and everything like that. And it's just, I mean, that's what this Mooney lineup has done all year long. I mean, they just hit the ball. They have guys 1 through 9. I mean, Taco Veraco is probably one of the better hitters in the area that we've seen. Johnny Brenner going to play football at YSU, but the guy can swing the stick as well. And I mean, they got guys 1 through 9, and you saw that on Thursday.
So then talk about also in that inning, they scored what would inevitably be the game-winning run with a 5-4 win. Their 5th run came in that inning. Good base running scored the run. Caden Reese scores on a wild pitch, and he does some pretty cool stuff to get this around the bases to get opportunity for that. So we talked about it before with the last state game we were talking about.
Yeah,
base running, small ball, the little things are so important. Mooney scores that 5th and final run in the inning with base running.
Yeah, I mean, I think Reese is probably one of the best base runners in the state. I would put him up there. I think he's got. I don't know if you have the stats in front of you, Anthony. I can look it up if you don't. But I think he's got close to 60 career stolen bases. I know he set the new Cardinal Mooney record this year. I think it was career. And he just flies around the bases. Let me see. I'm just pulling it up right now. He's got 33. He's got 33 on the season. And that's a high number at the high school level. He's always a threat to steal a base, no matter what, whether that's second, third, and when a ball goes to the backstop and he's on third base, he's more than likely to find home plate, and he did that in that situation on Thursday.
So Mooney advances to the state semifinals on Saturday. They'll play at 10 a.m. And they will play. I forget who won.
Perkins.
I think they had to wait for the perk. Way to go, Sean. That's why we have you on the show. Let's go. Not the breakfast. They'll play Perkins, not the breakfast restaurant, but the high school.
We had Red Robin, and now we got Perkins. I'm getting hungry.
Cool off, Sean. It's lunchtime, but we have some jobs to finish here. But yeah, Perkins High School will be playing Mooney Saturday, 10 a.m. in Akron. And if they win, we're going to be positive here on the show. They'll play Sunday at 10 a.m. for their state championship game. So back-to-back days, 24 hours apart. It's weird. We were talking about it to someone at Firestone this week. Baseball, you play the regional finals on Thursday. You have to wait till Saturday to play the state semis. But then there's a 24-hour gap between state semis and state championship. Quick turnaround. Long turnaround to get to state. Quick turnaround in the state championship.
Yeah, and I think that's where the pitching comes into play.
Yep.
I mean, when you throw your ace on one day, he's probably not going to be available the next day. And it all comes to head. That's where the depth comes in and everything like that. And in baseball, I think that's what makes it special. It's funny. I like to tell this story all the time. I used to cover baseball over in the Whippeal in Western Pennsylvania, and there's this high school that had a ace pitcher, and he ended up going to Louisville. He was a two-way player. He ended up playing for the Tampa Bay Rays. But the way the coach would, schedule out their pitching, he would pitch every single league game throughout the regular season, and they would have the best chance at winning games. And then all of a sudden, the Whippeal decided to make a rule where you had to play your league games back-to-back days so that they couldn't throw the same kid in all of their league games. and they called it I can't remember his last name off the top of my head now. I've told this story so many times, I'm surprised. But they ended up calling it the Brendan, whatever his last name was, rule, because that's how
pretty dang good. They have to make a rule just to stop you.
but that's where baseball comes into play. I mean, and you see the same thing in Ohio now, where most of the time, if Mother Nature doesn't come into play, most league games are played on back-to-back days in Ohio as well. And I think, that's where it comes to developing pitching at the high school level. I mean, you have to have 2, 3, 4 guys that can be able to take them out at any given moment. It's especially important for starters, but if you have guys at the back end as well that can come into games, it's pretty important. And I think that's why I think the pitch rule also comes into play as well. And, managing pitchers, if in Mooney's case, if you're throwing an ace, if you're throwing, their 1A or 2A or 1A or 1B starters, and say they take like a 10-run lead in the first inning, is there some pitch management there where maybe they pull their best pitcher so they can save him for a game in a day or game in 2 days or something like that? I find it very interesting at the high school level to see how coaches kind of manage that aspect of the game. If
Mooney could take a 10-run lead in the second, they would love that.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, I'm not saying amazing. I'm not saying it would come into play at this point in the year.
Let's save Ford Stacy for the state championship. Throw him like 25 pitches.
But throughout the course of the regular season, like maybe you throw Ford Stacy on a Monday and all right, maybe we can bring him back for like a Wednesday game or a Thursday game. Maybe we limit his pitch count on this game so we can have him again later in the week. I don't think you'll see that at this point. I think aces are going to get thrown until, they reach that 110 pitch mark or whatever it is. But again, like maybe they're up 5 runs on Saturday, and he reaches the point where maybe he can come back the next day and throw like 10 or 12 pitches or something like that. Then maybe they pull him early because they have a depth of pitching that they can rely on at any given point.
Yeah, like we said, you have to be pretty dang good for someone to make a rule based on you. Breaking news, YSN has a new rule for announcers who are no longer allowed to bring merch that has the other team's name on it. It's the Sean Elwood rule.
Listen, it was unintentional. I have nothing else. I told you my entire wardrobe is that. The one I was lucky that I had a YSN shirt in my closet.
This letting people in on the joke. I texted Sean when he on Thursday after Maplewood won and we knew who they were going to play. They were playing Portsmouth Notre Dame, and I was like, Sean, you cannot wear anything Notre Dame to this game. And okay, we're good. Okay, we're good. Sean shows up to Firestone Stadium with a Notre Dame book bag. And I'm like, Sean, what are you doing? Now, Portsmouth Notre Dame.
You said don't show up wearing anything Notre Dame.
The logo is the same. The colors are this. It is pretty much Notre Dame light. It is a Dollar General brand Notre Dame with a different mascot. That's what Notre Dame High School is. So Sean Elwood walks to the stadium pretty much wearing the opposing team's colors and name on his back. Great job. Way to go, Sean.
Listen, Norm was already giving me a hard time. I don't know. I think he's pulling up wanted signs. I think I'm the most wanted man in Cortland right now.
Lori Yanucci says that was rude. That was rude. That was so rude. Now, we'll talk more about that game. Of course, we have state games.
Brendan McKay. The Brendan McKay rule. That's what
Greg found it. Way to go, Greg.
Investigative research.
To Wednesday.
He's coming for McNuggy's job.
Oh man, McNuggy's is off the show one day, and Greg is already trying to steal it. We have to go all the way back to Wednesday for our first state semifinal. Maybe the biggest surprise in the state semifinals, probably, I think, arguably in the state. Austintown Fitch playing Lancaster, and Lancaster shuts them out 4-0. Fitch's season ends in the Final Four stunner. We were calling it with Ty. Me and Ty were kind of like flabbergasted. We couldn't believe what was going on. It was a pitcher's duel, and then Lancaster opened it up a little bit in the 6th and put even more pressure on that Fitch lineup. And the more I look at it, like when we were doing the broadcast, we weren't really given a lot of information. There weren't too many stats out on Lancaster. So we didn't know like who their ace was or anything like that. We just saw right before the game. I was like, oh, I found their pitching stats. They have a sophomore with an ERA of like 2.17. I'm sure we'll see her. And then Ty looks at the lineup and says, that's not who's pitching. And I go, oh, she must be hurt or something because they're throwing their senior with an ERA of like, I think her ERA was like maybe in the high 3s or low 4s. So I was like, oh, she must be hurt. No, this was a strategic choice. I talked to some people from Lancaster after the game. I was like, well, is this sophomore hurt? No, they just decided to throw the senior. And I think it was honestly because they were like, hey, this Fitch lineup is really, really good. They're going to be geared up for velocity, high speed, really good pitching. They've been seeing it all year. Let's throw someone that throws a little bit slower, uses the changeup a little bit more often, and see if we can't get them off balance and their timing off. We just lost Sean. Sean's gone. Sean is in a shameful shadow of shame. But anyway, I think Lancaster kind of said, hey, let's try to throw off their balance a little bit. They had nothing to lose. They were like, we're playing the number 1 team in the state, number 22 in the nation. Let's just try something new and throw our 2 pitcher, who we trust because she's a senior. Sean's now sideways. Oh, Sean's
there we go.
All right.
There we go.
Sean,
I don't know what happened.
I
think my Wi-Fi went down, so I'm on my cell phone now.
It's a Notre Dame Wi-Fi. It was probably offsides, is what it was.
That's a great reference. That's a great reference.
So
Pull.
when we talk about this Lancaster team, like I said, Sean just popped off, so I'm just reinstated. I think Lancaster said, we're going to take a chance. We have nothing to lose. We're playing the number 1 team in the state, number 22 in the nation. Let's throw a pitcher that throws a little bit slower, uses changeups a lot. It's a senior, so we trust her. Senior in the circle. And it worked. Fitch was out of timing the whole game. They were getting under stuff. A lot of infield and shallow pop-ups. They hit a couple of balls hard that there were good defensive plays on for sure. But most of Fitch's lineups were either way out in front or just under these pitches that were slower, change-ups, and they just could not adjust to it. And then what happened is Lancaster found little ways to score, and that put more pressure on the Fitch offense. And I think the anxiousness went up a little bit for Fitch's lineup, and that caused them to get even more ahead of the changeup because they were trying to press so much. So Lancaster's coaching staff, for making that gutsy call, I give them a tip of the hat. Of course, we were there. We were rooting for Fitch. Fitch is our team. We wanted Fitch to win. But when you see a coach decide to make a move like that and be, the gutsy person that says we're not going to throw our ace against one of the best teams, well, actually, literally the best team in the state, I commend that a little bit. I tip the hat to the coaching staff for taking that chance, and it worked out in their favor. If it didn't work out in their favor, I think they would have said, you know what, we trusted our senior, we threw out there, we wanted to try something different. Oh well, we lost to a better team, but it worked, and I think it was a really, really gutsy move that worked out in his favor.
Yeah, I mean, when you take an offense that I think has averaged close to 12 runs a game this year, and you limit them to a shutout, that deserves a pat on the back. I will say that up front. But again, I mean, when obviously I wasn't there to cover the game or anything like that, but when I saw the score and kind of what took place, I think that was the most surprising stat to me to see. Fitch not put up any runs. I mean, we've seen throughout the course of the season, I think all the highlights I've cut up, Kylie Folkwine home run, Abby Toth home run, just offense just producing left and right. And when you take an offense like Fitch and they put, a goose egg on the scoreboard, that's something that kind of, piques your interest a little bit and kind of, you want to know what happened. And I think that tells the story of the game right there.
Sean, Lori Yanucci says you're Fred. I think she means you're fired, but luckily for you, she does not have that authority. You're good. You're safe for now. Everyone gets one. Just like Spider-Man. Everyone gets one. So softball did not start off to a great tone. Fitch got upset 4-0. It's kind of a bummer. We moved on to Thursday, where we go into the Maplewood State semifinal game. And Maplewood played a heck of a game. 4-0. They get the win in the state semifinal against Southeastern Local to get to the state championship. This was Addie Marker at her absolute best, a 2-hit shutout with, I think, 13 strikeouts in the game. This was like when you kind of knew, okay, Maplewood has a shot at this. You knew who they were playing. They were playing Notre Dame, who's the reigning state champion. But at that moment, when she pitched like that, and their offense found ways to score with small ball, causing mistakes by the other team, you said, okay, if things go this way, Maplewood has an absolute shot at winning a state championship. And Addie Marker pitched arguably one of the best performances of her season when it mattered most in the state semifinal. Like I said, pitching a 2-hit shutout against the Southeastern local team that had monster players in the lineup. I think they had one girl that was double-digit home runs, maybe 18, 15, somewhere like that. All the stats kind of melted my mind after doing so many games down there. But Southeastern local did not have had a lineup that was not to be turned the nose up at. They were an offensive team, and Addie Marker shut them down in the state semifinals. They advanced to the next day for the state championship game when we had 2 games on Friday the 5th. We started them. This was the longest day of the weekend for me because Louisville was 10 a.m. They went into this game against Madison Comprehensive, and it went into 10 innings. Louisville finally found a way to score in the bottom of the 10th, 3-2. They got the victory. They were able to march that momentum into the state championship game, and it was a wild way to start the day. I'll tell you that, but it also put everyone behind schedule a little bit. So, there's 2.5 hours between games locked in, and that Louisville game took by itself about 2 hours and 15 minutes. So they were a little bit behind schedule at Firestone Stadium on Friday, but Louisville made it worth it. I mean, when I was in the post-game press conference, they were all kind of speaking the same thing. Like, we've been finding a way all season, finding a way, grinding through adversity. They were under 500 when the tournament started, and they got all the way to the state championship game with this win in 10 innings. It was a great performance by Caitlin Miller in the circle. She pitched really well. And like I said, it was another game where Louisville just eventually found a way to score in the bottom of the 10th in a pitcher's duel. So Louisville got a really exciting win to start out the day that day. And then we had to kind of bide our time. Maplewood was the last game of the night. So we had to wait and wait and wait. It was a long day. It was hot. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. But finally, the Maplewood State Championship came about. And me and Sean were on the call for this one. Sean can attest to it. Notre Dame wins 3-0. But did Maplewood kind of prove to themselves and everybody that they had a chance in that game, a couple of chances in that game to really make something special happen. Unfortunately, it felt like the ball was falling Notre Dame's way that night.
Yeah, just like a few things didn't fall their way in the first inning. Notre Dame was able to get out to an early 2-0 lead, and I think there was just a couple miscues. Addie Marker, you talked about how electric she was on Thursday. It seemed like there was a bit of that command that just seemed slightly off through the first couple innings, but then she found herself in a rhythm. She was able to hold Notre Dame scoreless, I believe, through the final 4 innings of the game, so she was able to keep her team in it, ended up with, I believe, 13 strikeouts. So once Marker found that rhythm, she was just completely lights out the rest of the night. But that early advantage for Notre Dame, just being able to get on it early, was just enough. It just seemed like everything was falling the way of the Titans, and that's how we talked about it. That's how Maplewood's been able to just beat you all year, is be able to take advantage right there. Anytime another team made a mistake, Maplewood immediately took advantage and made you pay for it in a big way. That's what they were able to do in the semifinal game to get past Southeastern, taking 3 runs in the first inning. So it was just one of those nights that it just seemed nothing just ended up falling their way, and Notre Dame's still a very good team. We talked about tough team to beat, but Maplewood definitely proved themselves, and I'm sure I can guarantee they'll probably be back there next season.
Yeah, it was a game they're going to look back on. They're going to say, man, like, it was just one of those times, and it happens in baseball and softball where the things fell for the other team. And credit to Notre Dame. Like, they're the reigning state champions. They brought a lot of back. They know how to win state championships. They kind of made the plays they had to make when they had to make them. But they had 3 errors in the game. They gave Maplewood some opportunities to get big hits and get back into it. But they knuckled down when Maplewood was able to very few times. But when they were able to get runners in scoring position, they really knuckled down and stopped Maplewood from driving in runs.
And I think
Lauren,
that was the
Reagan
biggest
Craig, I
thing
think, got on
was,
all
like,
3 times, right? Reagan Craig had a
yes.
great day, 2 for 2. I think she got on with the air as well. She had a massive day at the plate for Maplewood. Marker finished with 13 strikeouts, no walks. Well, I don't think you can ask for much more in a state championship game. Only 1 earned run. By the way, 500 career strikeouts now for Addie Marker after that 13. So congratulations on that. But everything just they played so well. They just weren't the team that made the big. Sometimes it's about the quality of hits instead of the quantity. And Notre Dame came up with the big hits in the big times. And Maplewood's one error of the day came and gave them that 2-0 lead in the first one. It could have been 1-0 after one.
Yeah.
That one error that Maplewood had all night was the one with that let a run score, unfortunately for the Rockets. So right there. Unfortunately for the seniors of that Maplewood team, just not enough. But they have a lot coming back next year, including the 1-2 punch in the circle with Addie Marker and Lexi Yanucci. So, yeah, I think they have no one's ever guaranteed. You have to work your way back to state, and it's hard to get there. It's hard to win there. So you're never, ever guaranteed. So you have to take everything in as much as you can. But Maplewood's going to be a team next year where we talk about maybe the YSN team that has the best chance to get back to state. So the Rockets, I was really impressed with how they played on that stage for the first time ever being there. They were the first Maplewood team sport in any team sport, any season, to get to the state championship game. And they also broke the program record for wins. They won the NAC for the first time in 19 years. So it was a lot of things that Maplewood did this season that were historic. And even though they fell just short in the state championship game, does not take away from what they were able to do. Sean, I know you called them a couple of times. You have stuff to say about Maplewood and what they did this season too.
Yeah, this was a team that I was talking to Anthony during the preseason, like looking at what teams might be able to make a run, who was returning who, what kind of seasons they had last year. And me and Anthony both agreed that Maplewood was a team that we wanted to keep an eye on because they had a lot coming back. They were a very young, versatile team that had a great season last year. And so I was keeping a close eye on them, and they proved us right. With the amazing regular season they had, I got to go up to Maplewood for a game where they were able to take down Edgewood on a walk-off. Got to see them a couple times. I want to thank Coach Urchak for always being so welcoming. We love to be able to cover these teams like this, and especially with the season that Maplewood had this year. We were so glad to be a part of it. I just proud of everything that all these girls have accomplished. I know there's going to be a fire lit under them next year. This is not a team that ever gives up. This is not a team that quits. I know they're going to be right back at it next year, grinding in the off season and getting ready to go. They're going to be coming back with a vengeance. We know we talked about with teams like Fitch that, don't want to use the term revenge tour. Yeah. Maplewood's coming back with a vengeance next season.
Just remember last year they lost in the district championship game. They used that to fuel them to this run. Who knows what losing in the state championship game will fuel. You can't get much further than that, but they might go win state and then go and play in some national tournament, try to win a national championship. Who knows? Take down the whole world. But that ends Maplewood season 3-0. They fall in the state championship game to Notre Dame, Portsmouth, Notre Dame. Then we go into Saturday. Guys, Greg was there. Saturday was frustrating. That South Range game that opened the day on Saturday.
Yeah.
Just very frustrating because I felt like, and Greg, I don't know if you felt like it too. Despite what the score says, it might sound crazy. I think South Range was the better team. They just didn't have the hits fall in the right time. Like timely hitting is so important. They had more hits. They had more extra base hits. They had more scoring opportunities. Liberty Union was just the one that was able to capitalize on their scoring opportunities more than South Range was. And then towards the end of the game, you felt the pressure to South Range get to them a little bit, and they let a big inning in the sixth make this kind of a runaway. But this was not an 8-1 game when you look at the two teams, how they played, the way the game went. It's just one of those things that, like, it sucks in softball, but sometimes quality of hits matters more than quantity. And South Range was able to get scoring opportunities every inning. They just could not bring them home.
Yeah, it seemed like they had runners in scoring position like the first 3 or 4 innings. Like they left runners on second and third, I think in the first every one of the first 4 innings, and it was like I thought it was one of those situations where like, all right, they're eventually going to break through
Yeah.
and the offense is going to come alive. And then it didn't come, and Liberty Union had that huge inning late. But it looked like the Raiders were going to break through eventually. I mean, they were hitting balls left and right. It was funny. I was in center field at one point shooting photos like over the center field fence, and it seemed like they stringed together like 2 or 3 solid hits to the outfield. I think they got a runner into third, a runner into second, and they just couldn't find that like the momentum to kind of get over the hump,
Right.
if that makes sense. Brogan led off the game with a triple, into
right?
the right field
Yeah,
gap.
score that like oh,
She was
come on.
she was hitting the ball well all day long, and she seemed to be their best hitter. I mean, from my perspective at least, and they just couldn't kind of find a way to push the runs across the plate.
And it stayed 1-0 for a little bit for Liberty Union.
Yeah.
And what's
Mhm.
crazy is the game tying run for South Range wasn't off a monster hit to the gap, wasn't off a huge. It was an infield single by Katie Dance
Yeah.
where the third baseman came in too far and her slap went right past her and no
Mhm.
one could get her. So the Raiders tied the game at 1 with an infield single. That was the run. That was the hit. I even thought like, hey, that brings up the top of the order. Katie Dance in the 9 spot getting an RBI. You still got runners on. I thought that might have been the hit that broke them open, but
Mhm.
credit Liberty Union. I mean, they knew
Yep.
they're the reigning state champions. They knew how to kind of buckle down, and they did all day. They buckled down when the pressure mattered most. And like we said, when they were able to break it open a little bit in the 6th with a few mistakes, and they chased Cam Crepage out of the game. And Ashley Rupert, I love this player so much. She's so well respected. But it was a tough situation to bring her in. She hadn't pitched in a while in the game, in an actual meaningful game. I know she pitched in the pickup game that they had against Mogador Field on Monday, but like in a tournament game, it was pretty much the Cam Crepage show in regionals and
Yeah.
districts. So to come in off the bench in the state semifinals when I think the bases were loaded with 1 out, maybe
Yeah.
like a tough
Yeah.
situation to come in, and then a couple of errors happened, and it started to unravel a little bit for South Range. I think when the reality started to sit into their brains that they probably weren't going to win that game, a couple of mistakes happened, a couple of loss of focus, and then it turned into like could have been a 4-1 game. I think it could have easily been a 4-1 game. It turned into an 8-1 game by the time they got the bats back in their hand in the top of the 7th.
Yeah.
But this South Range team, senior led, 7 seniors on the team. They knew they got to 3 out of the 4 state semifinals in their career. This year was really special because, of course, they were playing for Donnie Farron. They had a sticker on their helmet. They felt like this was a year where they could do something really special. And I think Donnie Farron would agree up in the sky that state semifinal again and going for it 3 out of the 4 times in your senior year. That is special. I know it doesn't feel like it in the moment because you want to win a state championship. Everybody wants to win a state championship, but you keep knocking. I said in the broadcast a couple times with Rob, I said, you keep knocking on the door. Eventually, I promise you, it will break down. And South Range is a program that keeps getting there, keeps knocking on the door. They know how to get to this moment. They know how to get to the state semifinals. They know how to get to state championship. They've done that 3 times in their program's history. I promise you, Raider fans, eventually they will knock down this door. They will get a state championship for the softball program. You just got to keep doing it. You got to keep grinding. The more they succeed like this, the more the younger generation wants to be a part of this program. We saw a bunch of little Raiders get autographs after the game, kind of lift the spirits of the players a little bit. So you know that there's going to be always a future for South Range softball, and it's coming up. We saw them in the 12U tournament last year do some special things, have some really special players. So we know players are coming up in South Range, and I know they're losing a very special group of seniors. They still have some young talent there for you. They have a pitching freshman that's going to be pretty good for the rest of her career. So that's always a plus. I promise you, South Range Nation, this team will find a way eventually. It'll happen. You can't keep knocking on the door forever and not have it open. It will find a way. Liberty Union went on to lose the state championship game in a wild one to Wheelersburg. That was number 1, number 2 versus each other in the state. Wheelersburg has won now 4 of the last 5, and the one they didn't win was Liberty Union. So that matchup was literally between the teams that have won the last 5 state championships in Division 5. So pretty exciting Sunday for Division 5 in the state championship game between Liberty Union and in Wheelersburg. Yes, it is coming. I promise you, South Range, it is coming. It's happening. Well, we're going to get there, and we're going to hoist the colors in Firestone one of these years, but just not this year, unfortunately. And then the final game of the night, bless Rob Johnson for staying, because once that rain delay happened, I was like, that Louisville game isn't going to start until like 10 o'clock. I don't know exactly. I think it started a little bit later than 10, to be honest. I was like, you know what? Akron's an hour away. I'm going to go home after that South Range game. So Louisville, late in the night, lost to Bloom Carroll 10-1. And that's also a game where it started off pretty competitive. Louisville got a home run on their leadoff hitter, right? So the first at bat of the game, they're up 1-0 like this. And it stays that way for a little bit. It stays up, but then Bloom Carroll has this one inning where they open things up. And it came by a couple of miscues from Louisville, but like everything in the state tournament that we've seen, when good teams see a little bit of crack in the door, they're able to kick it open. And Bloom Carroll was able to do that on Saturday night as they scored 4 runs in the third and then 4 more runs in the sixth. Those are their 2 big innings. But you look at that third inning where Louisville was right there with them in that third inning. It went hit by pitch, single, error, single, and then a single sacrifice bunt. So like the hit by pitch of the air just kind of set them up a little bit. And if you set up really good teams, Bloom Carroll, a very good prestigious program, they won between, I think, 2011 and 2015. They won all those state championships. Now that was back when, if softball fans remember, in Ohio, they had a girl named Taryn Alvello who went on to play for Washington and was an All-American. So pretty easy to win state championships when you have her on the circle. But they were a program. They are a program that has a ton of experience there, a coaching staff that knows how to get there, and these players, at least in the roster, were there for the first time. And they just kind of made the most of their opportunities, and they get the win in the state championship game. Like we said with South Range, I know you want to win a state championship, but man, does this not demote anything that Louisville softball was able to do. They were under 500 when the tournament started, and they ranked their whole way, all the way to the state championship game. They won a state semifinal in 10 innings. They got to the final, didn't go their way, but man, this is a special group of girls, special group of players that fought through adversity all year and found their way to their goal in the state championship game. And that's something that a lot of teams don't get to do. There's so many teams that want to be in the state championship game. Only 2 get to do it. Louisville was in there. Bloom Carroll got the win, but I don't think it takes away anything from what Louisville was able to do. Their bunt game was amazing, says Rob Johnson. And shocker, in softball, if you can bunt and play small ball, you're going to do good things. Sean, we saw it all week, right? The teams that won were usually the teams that were able to get a big bunt in a big situation. Teams that lost, usually the teams that couldn't get a big bunt in a big situation. Bunting is important in softball. Small ball, smaller field, putting the ball in play. Bloom Carroll had a really good bunt game. I know it sounds kind of silly, bunting, but hey, that's how they do it. That's how they did it against Mogador Field. No, I'm sorry. That was Division 4. Bloom Carroll played Now I can't remember who they played. But that's how they did it. So, Bloom Carroll, congratulations on the state championship. Louisville, congratulations big time on being able to get to the state championship game through the adversity that you faced this season and prove to everyone that senior class and that group of girls, that group of players was as special as we all thought they were. They're bringing back some pretty good juniors next year. They have a great class coming up, so don't sleep on the Leopards despite them losing some awesome seniors that are going on to play college softball. Louisville has some big things coming still. Rob Johnson saying that Louisville had the hardest regular season schedule, number 1 rated in the division. That probably tested them enough to get to the state championship game, I would say, proving the importance of that. And then Caitlin Miller got her 200th career strikeout in that Louisville game as well. So 200th season strikeout, not career strikeout, excuse me. So obviously the Division One pitcher, proven why she's a Division One pitcher, in Caitlin Miller. So really fun to watch her in the state semifinal, and of course being able to watch her all season. And hopefully you'll see Caitlin Miller at the YSN All-Star Game coming a little bit later on in June. We will preview the All-Star Game and talk about that a little bit more tomorrow, because today was kind of a weekend / state and regional recap, and we had a lot to chew on, so I don't want to add, hey, here's this big All-Star Game. Let's talk about that, because we'd be here for another half an hour talking about the All-Star
time
Game.
it's
So
worth.
we got it. We got to make sure tomorrow is about All-Star Game and kind of what's going on for that and where they'll be, when they'll be, all that fun stuff. We'll talk about some of the big names that you'll see in the All-Star Game and some big things that we expect from the All-Star Game tomorrow on the show. But for today, let's go to our only sponsored segment of the whole show. And it's our favorite segment of the whole show, because it's Joe Dickey Electric. What's your spark? And Joe Dickey Electric is your stop for everything electrical, whether it be commercial or residential. They have you covered, and you can find them at DickeyElectric.com. All right, today we'll go from bottom to top. So Sean Elwood, Mr. Substitute, what's your spark today?
I just want to give a shout out to the entire baseball and softball season as a whole. We talked about it a lot, where the spring sports with baseball and softball is just one of those seasons where it all happens so quickly. It starts very late in March, and it seems like every day you're just constantly moving. And now it's strange that we're basically at an end now with the high school baseball softball season. It's sad to see it start to come to an end. I know we still got one team left in Cardinal Mooney, but I want to shout out, all of the teams that had excellent seasons this year, all the teams we've gotten to cover, all the new fans that I've gotten to meet and interact with, calling games, even times when I've gone out and it's been covering non-YSN schools, meeting those families, getting to introduce them to what YSN is all about. And, this has been basically wrapping up my first year with YSN. Started back in the fall with football season, and now wrapping up the spring season. I feel like with the year under my belt, a lot has changed, and it's sad to see the spring season go, because this is probably the most fun that I've had in a while. And I'm just glad that, especially being able to go to Firestone this weekend, seeing everybody there and just the atmosphere that it brought, it was an amazing cap off to the season.
Craig, spark for you?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of piggybacks off Sean's last statement there a little bit, but this weekend was the first time I got to go to Akron Firestone in my time here in northeastern Ohio, and the atmosphere it's just electric. Like that's the only way to really describe it. I mean, it's loud, it's raucous, it's awesome, it's everything. It's state final kind of atmosphere, state semifinal atmosphere should be. I was talking to another photographer up there, and he had like earplugs in, and I was like, you know what, that probably might have been a smart move, with the kind of the atmosphere that was there. But shout out to the whole staff there, the OHSA and everything like that. It was a great atmosphere. Shout out to the schools and the student sections and the crowds and everything like that came to show up to support their teams. It was an awesome atmosphere to be a part of, awesome weekend to be a part of. So yeah, shout out to Akron Firestone.
Yeah, what a great atmosphere to be a part of. I love it. I've loved it since I was a season ticket holder for the Akron Racers for the 5 years I was there. It was just as exciting to watch that softball as it is to watch state. You go there for a MAC tournament, just as exciting as well. Just a special place. It's like I said, it's one of, actually it is, there are two places in the country that were specifically built for professional softball. And it was Akron Firestone Stadium, and then Rosemont in Illinois has one that they built for the Chicago Bandits that's now being used by the Athletes Unlimited Softball League. So there are two stadiums that were built specifically for professional softball and nothing else. They're like, obviously, There's a bunch of other stadiums that are like it in college and things, and obviously there's Oklahoma City, which has a big softball stadium, but Firestone and Rosemont are the two stadiums that were specifically built for a professional softball team. I know, okay, technically, if you want to really be done know about it, Firestone Stadium was built way back in the day for Rubber City baseball, and Babe Ruth played there, but it was renovated. It was kind of turned into a softball stadium specifically for professional softball. So it's got the pro softball kind of feel. That's what you would expect if you were saying we're watching pros. It's a stadium atmosphere. So the bleachers in the outfield, bleachers in the infield, the stadium seating. It's what you want from a state championship setting. And I hope the OHSA never leaves from Firestone. I know there are some other options I guess you could go to, maybe Ohio State or one of the other D1 colleges in the state of Ohio. But I hope that Firestone is always the home for the state championship game, because for my money, it is no better atmosphere in softball in the state of Ohio than Firestone Stadium in Akron. So special place for me, special place for all the softball fans out there that like to come and watch Firestone. So I echo what you guys said. I'm glad that you guys were kind of christened and how special of a place Firestone can be. I knew it for a while, but now you guys can get on that bandwagon a little bit.
It had been a while. I went last time I was there. I think I was 8 years old because my older sister had a softball tournament there, like her freshman year of high school. But so it had been a while, and I'm glad to have been able to go back. But yeah, it's just like it's one of those places that like no matter how long it's been, whether it's your first time, your 50th time, it doesn't matter. It always hits the exact same every time you walk in there.
Yeah, and it's going to be a fun time next year when we get back. My final spark, I guess, for the day to wrap everything up, I want to give a shout out to one of the softball teams that unfortunately, like, not a YSN team, but boy, were they fun to watch this weekend. Got to watch their state semifinal game, and then I got to watch their championship game from home. Kenton Ridge softball from Springfield, Ohio, arguably the best softball team in the state right now. They are on a 68-game winning streak. They won undefeated season, won state championship last year. This year, undefeated season, state champions again this year. That team was so fun to watch. I mean, man, I wish we covered them. I wish we had Kenton Ridge on YSN. What a fun team. What a fun softball team. D1 talent locked in, throw up and down the lineup. I mean, Jaden Smith, the Ohio State commit that hit so well for them. Just an awesome team. It was fun. As a softball fan, I wanted to give them a shout out because they were just fun to watch. The teams they played, though, gave them a heck of a challenge. Like, neither of the teams, whether it was Field or whether it was the other team that played in the state championship game against them, whose name escapes me because I'm terrible because I watch so much softball, can't keep everything straight. But both the teams that Kenton Ridge had to play in the state semifinals and championship gave them a heck of a fight. We're never backing down from the number one team in the state in that division. And I think they were ranked in the nation in that division as well. And obviously, when you come into a game with a 66-game winning streak, could be kind of intimidating. But the teams that played them did not back down. But Kenton Ridge, just a little bit too much, and they won the state championship game again. So I want to give them a little bit of a hand clap. As a softball fan, such a fun team to watch. Glad I got the experience to be able to see them play live. So once again, that'll do it for today's show. Tomorrow, we'll talk about the All-Star game and what's to come, and maybe some conversations about postseason awards too, and what names might show up on postseason awards. Who knows? We will do our best to have a big show tomorrow. Wednesday will be our season finale, a running Wednesday on YSN with Rick Seipert, where we'll talk to some state champions. We had, I think, 7 total state champions when you look at everything in track and field. So we'll talk to as many of those people as we possibly can. And then Thursday, we'll have our big, summer celebration where we wrap up the regular season of YSN Live. So don't miss this week. We're coming back tomorrow. We'll be better tomorrow, as we always say. And as for everyone out there, may the sports be with you.
And with you.
And also with you.
YSN thanks you for watching this presentation of Your Sports Network. For stories, stats, and more, go to ysnlive.com.